Welcome to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast, where high achieving entrepreneurs and leaders come to receive deep, insightful conversations and practical guidance to move from hustle to flow without sacrificing their authentic self and the results. I am your host and Chief Energy Officer, Tammy Cho, a former patient care leader turned international best-selling author, speaker, and face and body analysis expert. Get ready to lead your authenticity, lead your energy, and lead your impact. Hi, and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in and being here with me today. This episode came to me because it's an issue I've been working through with a recent client in a one-to-one capacity. And I actually see this show up for different clients in different ways, but the underlying energetics behind it is the same. And this energy pattern can very much be playing out in your life as well. And so, as a chief energy officer and a face and body analysis expert, I tend to look at things, at the energy level and also to make, energy connections between things. And what I believe is when we are able to look at the energy and the underlying intention behind things, we can often sense past the words being said or even the behaviors that are being acted on, right? It really brings a layer of truth and authenticity out from what we just see on the surface. And so I also use my client's face and body as a guide, a blueprint, if you will, to show me where I need to take the session. And because our body represents the subconscious, and our subconscious is often what is running our thoughts, actions, and behaviors, right? By linking both these tools, it really allows me to address challenges formed from more than what meets the eye, so to speak. And it allows my coaching to be highly effective at pinning down the core issue behind things. And this is why I speak so highly about, getting back into our body, leading our energy, because many of us are juggling many priorities. And it is important to learn how to look at challenges more efficiently. And it starts by looking at the energy patterns behind things. And of course, this is a new way of being, and it does take practice, of course, and we all must start somewhere. So, what I will do on this show is highlight how this showed up for my client and how uncovering this pattern helped her claim back over 5 years of her life. And while you're listening to this, right, really allow yourself to be curious how this may be playing out in your own life in some shape or form. And at the end, I will be providing some strategic questions to help yourself, to ask yourself in service to maybe claiming your time back if you see this scenario playing out in your life. Because time is our most precious resource that we cannot buy back, right? And so let's dive right in. So this is how this showed up for my client, and she worked in a leadership role at her company, and she's known to be a great problem solver amongst the team and well respected at work. However, she felt an underlying sense of disconnection, emptiness, just going through the motions of life and feeling unfulfilled in her life. And she found she didn't feel very connected with her own son and felt like she was just like, just moving through one, task to another, and what she did feel was that she held, she was holding a lot of resentment in her relationship with her husband. And there was, a focus on bettering their communication and understanding and all these things, right? And it's not that this type of work is not helpful, but it was just not addressing the root cause here, right? Because I did her face analysis, I saw that, there's some things that were deeper underneath. I saw that from her elongated shape of her face that she had high ideals and she had deeper humanitarian tendencies. And she cared about more than herself and she wants to make a big difference. That's her makeup. within herself. I also saw that both her left and her right eyes and the irises were not level. They were not actually seeing eye to eye within herself. And I also saw from her foot analysis there was a tendency to disconnect her mind from her heart, so to speak, to really feel her emotions. And because I did her soul numbers with her face analysis, I could also I saw in her soul numbers that she wasn't necessarily fully connected to her purpose and gifts at this time. And so, all those pieces, but also she was actually having a physical symptom she was experiencing that was a lot of itchiness on her arms, and her skin, was so bad she needed ice packs she needed to put ice packs on in order to fall asleep at night. And so, what this itchiness speaks to psychosomatically was there's a place that she wasn't letting herself desire what she really wanted and to receive it. And obviously, in the beginning, she didn't know, what this exactly was. But, when I did say it, like her body responded, like, yeah, like, there was like, through her body language, it was responding to what I was saying, even though intellectually she didn't really know what it was specifically. So upon doing some, inner journey, some deeper work together and holding space for that, right? What actually was the core issue was she was neglecting connecting to her own soul and spirituality and giving herself what she needed and what she truly desired, right? My client couldn't see that she felt powerless to change the situation. Like in at work she was very exercising her power, leading meetings, and so it was very interesting to her that it could show up like this in other areas of her life. And this is, I see this a lot in high achievers, is that it's not that they're not powerful in their business, in their work, but there's a place within self that the aspects in ourself that hasn't connected into these deeper parts of ourselves, right? And for her, it was my client, she had some spiritual trauma she had experienced. And when she was, allowed herself to be brutally honest with herself, she was able to come to terms with herself that she essentially was, blaming external factors, her husband, on her own spiritual neglect. And of course, it was unconscious, right? But we must remember we are a body, mind, heart, soul together, right? When we address ourselves separately, somewhere within ourselves we'll feel disconnected, right? We'll feel unfulfilled because we are not addressing ourselves as a whole, and a part of ourselves is left out. Yet it matters, right? It shows up in our body because our body is also the expression of our soul. Our emotions are so everything unconscious, right? And often, if not always, right, if one aspect of ourself is out of balance within ourselves, it will be reflected back to us in our external world, whether that's through lack of results, this disconnection I'm talking about, challenges that keep repeating itself, things like this, right? And often, if we focus on what others are doing to us, it keeps us in this vicious victim cycle, right? It's we get trapped in that box of, needing to be right or whatever pattern, keeps us in that cycle. And it's not that, at that time for my client working on the communication issues in the relationships in her relationship was bad per se. However, we can't truly solve the challenge if we're not even looking right at the right challenge to solve, right? Does that make sense? And so this is often why we address things at one level, but it's replaying again and again. It doesn't feel complete. You know what I mean? And sometimes it does feel complete, but then it shows up in a different way, affecting another area of our life, right? And so this subconscious block kept my client in this cycle for over 5 years with her husband, right? How much time did that take away from her life? Where she wasn't necessarily, giving herself what she needed. It was affecting her relationship with her husband, with her son, at some level with her work, right? And we must ask ourselves, what is the quality of our own lives? If we are not happy and fulfilled, but we're allowing ourselves to keep so busy that we may have numbed out or brushed off what actually doesn't feel good, what actually is important to us underneath, right? And this starts to be held in our body, and it was highlighting in my client as the itchiness. But if we do not address these deeper layers of ourself, this is this develops into longer term chronic health challenges and dis-ease, right? So when I was able to bring my client face to face with herself, release the trauma, connect herself back to more intimate parts of herself, right? The deep resentment towards her husband that she held on to for over 5 years just resolved. It became a non-issue. Like she didn't even feel a need to, do any extra communication. It's like once she addressed what it was for her, the core issue for her, it no longer felt important. That charge was no longer there. She was able to move forward and give herself what she needed, right? So when we unraveled the spiritual trauma, the powerlessness around it, she experienced a new strength within herself to also end this like over rationalizing, overthinking, and procrastination that was happening, at her work and personal. And what took her weeks and months to accomplish, she was able to take action with more freedom and ease. And she didn't really see at that time that it was affecting things at work either, right? It's like, so it's interesting what affects us at a personal level often affects us in another way in our professional life, right? And for the first time in a long time, she started prioritizing what she wanted. She started reaching out to friends that she hasn't, reached out to for a long time, and even created an extra day off every week for herself. She feels like a better mom now, right? Because she worked through what was causing her internal anxiety, and because she started connecting with herself and her emotions, she developed the capacity to support her son with his anxiety, which led to a deeper connection between them, right? She was able to support her son because she learned how to support herself in it. This type of work can be life altering. It affects, these type of, blocks affect every area of our life. And what I see time and time again is that when we allow ourselves to truly receive and connect to ourselves at a deeper level, that new level of happiness, that connection, that fulfillment opens up for us in our lives. It opens up for us in our personal life. It opens up results to flow in from our business, professional life. Honestly, when we allow ourselves to really receive, our authentic self, more fully, we are also allowing life to flow to us. It's like when we block ourselves, we're blocking life. I hope that, is landing and makes sense, and in many ways it doesn't make sense what I'm saying, right? Because it's like it doesn't seem related. And this is why like many of my clients, they're so surprised I say that, you know, this could affect all areas of your life, and they tell me all their problems and they can't necessarily see that as possible. And I'm here to tell you it is possible because we're removing some core, blocks, right? And often what we want is actually right in front of us all along. But when there's this energy barrier around our heart, right, it filters into what we are able to see and perceive and experience and receive, right? And truly our body, our wisdom, our body wisdom and communication has been here all along as well. And I understand that not, we're not taught how to read our bodies. This is why I'm passionate about like connecting my clients, right? Back into their body to feel, and so that they can be with their heart, their body communication, right? Another a story that's coming up for me to share, like with me being a mom as well, right? I was talking to my 9-year-old Madison last night, and she was like laughing, and we were like cuddling, and she's sharing with me what was happened in her day. However, when I looked down at her toes, I could see that her toes were spaced out, in a certain way, and differently, right, from what I normally see how her toes are, right? And so I asked her, I said, mommy notices there's your toes are spaced differently, and of course she's not surprised at that because she knows mommy does, body reading, and she's like, what does this mean, mom? What does that mean, mom? But yeah, in that moment, I told her I noticed this. Like, are you feeling a bit lonely, Madison? And I felt a little silly saying it because she was like laughing and cuddling, and she looked so happy in the moment, right? But she paused, and although she was happy in the moment, she stopped and said, "Yes, I do feel lonely, mom. That's you know that she wanted to spend more time with me, right?" Now, I would have known that because she appeared fine, and she's in camps, and she seemed like she was coming home with so much joy and happiness and sharing all these stories, right? And so yeah, and this is it, right? Like, and this is the perfect example of like, how we can be happy and sad at the same time at some level of us. And when we allow ourselves to feel both sides of the spectrum of our emotions, that's when we are able to attain emotional abundance, right? We're removing, the painful parts of ourselves so that we can open to receive more of the joy we already experience. And so if you have been struggling with underlying disconnection, emptiness, something you can't put your finger on, and you notice that, maybe you're having a challenge with another aspect of your life that seems to be repeating for some time, there could be some deeper layers to be addressed, right? Our challenges are these gifts, have gifts on the other ends, and we hear about that all the time, but it's so true. I see this again and again. However, we just can't see it when we're in it. Maybe you have a sense but you're not sure what to do around it, right? And so if you're feeling like you want more of this inner joy and inner freedom, more fulfillment and peace within yourself, you want to be, feel like you're thriving and fulfilled in your life, like, please reach out for a chat. I would love to support you to get to the core of things, right? To really save time, open yourself to receive more life that is right in front of you, and more life that is wanting to flow to you, and in a way that is efficient without neglecting your results or your authentic self. So you could create that flow for yourself. Now, I understand that as some of these things are subconscious, you may not be fully aware what the truth is for you, right? However, I want to invite you to be curious and to open up your awareness that sometimes things are not what they seem. And it's our soul's invitation to call ourselves deeper home back to ourselves. And so let me ask you, right? Do you have something in your life that feels like it's an ongoing challenge or problem? Does it feel like a pattern? Does it feel very familiar? It can often feel like it's not our fault. We don't have control over it, right? And so allow yourself to take a breath. Ask yourself these questions and allow the first thing to come up. If I didn't have this challenge, what would open up in my life? If I didn't have this challenge, what would open up in my life that feels scary to me? And pay attention to how your body is responding. If I didn't have this challenge, what could open up in my life? What could I create? And allow yourself to desire something different and focus on that instead. So, if you're wanting to take the first step towards leading your own inner authenticity and begin to empower your authentic self leadership, I have created a 5-part face analysis series that I put in the show notes. It's completely free, or you could go to path to the heart, like it sounds.com/links. And I truly hope this episode opened up new perspectives on what is possible when we look at the energy patterns around things, look at the body, mind, heart, soul connection. I am truly grateful for you spending your time with me today. I hope seeing things in this way will open the door for you to uncover, like, yeah, to bring more, save time for yourself to be able to look at things in this way and to start that journey, right? And hopefully not have 5 years of your life being taken away, if not more for some. And just remember to allow yourself to truly lead from your authenticity, from that deeper intimacy with yourself, leading your energy and leading your impact. So much love to you. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review so others can find the life-changing content that we're sharing here. We are starting our movement on our way to number 1, and we need your help to get there. If you'd like to connect with other high-achieving entrepreneurs and leaders who are also on their authentic, energetic leadership journey, join our free Facebook community, Energetically Aligned Leaders. Go to pathtotheheart.com/links to join the Facebook group, book your personalized face analysis experience, or to access our resources.